when we were talking about improvised performances, I played probably my best improvised performance with Levi.
Oh really?
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting because I took I had all these tapes that I made of different like rap music that I slowed down a lot and I did some mixing and stuff. But I played them in this totally different way, so slowed down that it was like almost industrial, like.
Yeah.
And then
rhythmic.
He did some, not really so rhythmic, just more like weird atmosphere, and then he did some things, like some bass drum and high tone things.
No, we had yesterday. We had the most long talk we had about this project and ideas and as preparations of today. We talked about it before, but we had a kind of in-depth conversation about the ideas behind this whole project. It kind of develops as we are executing the project itself, I guess. So our ideas about it develop while we are doing it, and so it's the whole material that we work with. And
so I guess the base of it is
psychogeography, and he kind of introduced me to the idea to work with it in the field of sound, the connection. I didn't know very much about it. I know you were. It was kind of meaningful for you in some way.
Yeah.
And,
very much.
I proposed a term for this tour, and we talked about it and developed this concept about inviting people, also as a kind of practical way to get gigs.
Yeah.
A strategy, because I thought it would be interesting for venues to have people work with sounds from their own city, and also to share a stage maybe with artists from that city, like we do in Berlin, in Amersfoort, and no, it's not.
Yeah, and so you have
it's more interactive than just the typical thing of you play your set every night and you know exactly what you're going to do, and that doesn't really evolve at all, which is I think what me and Louis have done more of in the past with tours, but I think this sort of is like it's a newer idea in terms of like the execution, but maybe for me the idea of interacting with my immediate environment in terms of the sounds that were around and collecting them and then reworking them in a loose music concrete sort of idea has been around since the beginning of Sterile Garden, just like 13, 14 years ago at this point. And just coming across the ideas of the situationists pertaining to the idea of drifting through a city, or they call it dérivé. Dérivé. And that sort of that concept of getting out of your normal patterns of movement in a city and sort of reimagining, just kind of wandering according to your own personal whim or sounds or things that you see, and then having new experiences that open you up to new possibilities and perhaps even new relationships as a result.
A relationship with people or with...
relationships with people as
or
well.
the city?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Yeah.
Like you go down a street and you run into someone and
Yeah, it's really nice, and in a lot of different ways. I mean, it's really, I really appreciated just getting all these different recordings from different people in places that I haven't been, people that I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not really a portrait of the city, I guess. It's more
no,
like
we intended first to make a portrait of the city, but it was not practical at all and too ambitious for now.
Yeah.
There was not time enough to prepare it properly, I guess. So we decided to have this general idea about the city, and that idea is kind of developing and using, for instance here, we use indeed the sounds of that the village sent us, as we did in Augsburg with the sounds that Ralph Amaise sent us. But we don't make portraits of Zurich or Augsburg, but used. It's also a kind of interaction with city, because those sound artists not represent the city, but are part of the city, and the sounds they record we kind of respond to. So the language from the city we use to develop our own language and to communicate with the cities we are in, and also build a network. So and to collaborate with people in different ways. So the whole project is not only about sound, but also about collaborating, interaction, and more than one level, and see what can be developed from it.
I like it because it's like kind of like an open-ended collage, something that I think can just infinitely evolve, in its own way.
Yeah.
You mentioned music concrete and field recordings. How do you relate to that movement, and how do you perceive this movement? Where does it come from and stuff?
Music concrete. Field recording is not so much a movement as it is a technique. Music concrete was indeed the official name of this approach to music in the, I think, 50s in France by one or two of these main figures that started this.
Pierre Henry, Pierre Schaeffer.
Yeah, those two. One of them died recently, I guess. Which one?
Okay. I think Henri.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't really know the exact details of their ideas behind using concrete sounds as a way to compose music.
Yeah, I don't think either of them were specifically limited to just field recordings. They use synthesizers and lots of different studio techniques. I think I was reading this book by Pierre Schaeffer, In Search of the Concrete Music, and I think he started out using vinyl records actually to attempt music concrete, and I mean, really he had a lot of failed experiments before arriving at the tape techniques and what he's famous for, like the recordings of the trains and things like that. But
so what is music concrete? I mean, it's concrete music. So what does?
So there's music actuelle, which happens in music that happens in real time in one single period of time, like right in front of you. And there's music concrete, which is collected from different moments of time and then assembled together.
So it's always collages, always.
Yes.
I thought it was different. It's interesting.
What did you think it was?
Well, I think it was more about like the in the art, in the visual art, is you had also this concrete movement and work with real materials. It could be found or bought or whatever. And for instance, just the breakfast people had, the artist glued all the remains of the breakfast on the blankets of cloth and put it on as an artwork on the wall. So you had these real life objects that were used as an artwork instead of paint and it could be again Marcel Duchamp who first started with this found object. This term is again an existing artwork. How do you call it again? You studied art.
No.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know what you're talking about.
Ready-made.
Yeah, ready-made.
Ready-made.
Yeah.
So
like with the iron or whatever.
Yes. And he started together with the Dadaists and also the Futurists with using daily life material. It could also be advertisements in a newspaper to appropriate it and to rework it into something new. And my idea of musique concrète was doing exactly that, but with found sounds and making new work out of it. It could be field recordings, but also vinyl or radio.
Yeah. And the difference between like classical music is that it's not made by an instrument. A classic.
It can be made by an musique concrète. Oftentimes includes elements of actual instruments in it, but the difference is that it's not all made in the same time. It's collaged together. So it's not an easily defined thing. It's kind of like saying, what is noise? Well, what is music? Well, it's a matter of perception, really.
And psychogeography, is this also a way of, is it also a perception that you have of a city? That's why it's psychological?
Yes, it's all about, it's a completely subjective perception. It's not outside of the person. Every person has their own psychogeographical experience of a city or a suburban environment or the country. They're all
right.
It's how an environment influences the spatial and sound characteristics of an environment, shape your mental outlook on a daily basis, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I think the idea behind there's two sides. As I see it until now, so far, because I didn't make a complete study on psychogeography. Is on one side there is this kind of informal study about how the city affects human behavior and feelings and thoughts, but on the other side it is also about changing the perception by playing with different techniques and discover new experiences by doing unusual approaches. Really simple idea that we will execute, I hope, in Arnhem when we do a workshop is to make cards that give groups of people directions of a walk they will make to collect sounds they will hopefully find or make during this walk.